Hey guys, King Shaka here, back again with another video. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's out, it's here. The 3DS killer is here. That is the Nintendo Switch. And why do I say 3DS killer? Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to look and see, is the Switch replacing the Nintendo 3DS? So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the Nintendo Switch is here and it's queer, and we're ready to dive in on why the hell this thing, in my opinion, will replace the Nintendo 3DS. So, first of all, let's be real here. The Wii U was a flop, okay? The Wii, super successful, alright? Nintendo was trying to piggyback off that feel of the Wii with the motion controls, but they wanted to make it a lot more portable, a lot more, instead of on the big screen, the 50-inch screen, let's bring it down to the 12-inch screen, if not even smaller. Well, they kind of didn't succeed with that. I would say the Nintendo Wii U was kind of the worst selling console. Not like in the days in the 90s with the Virtual Boy and stuff like that, but the Nintendo Wii U of the modern era, in my opinion, was a flop. Now you could say GameCube wasn't as great as well because it was kind of meh compared to the Xbox and the PlayStation, where you could play, DVDs. Where with the GameCube, it was interesting design. That's what I love about Nintendo. All their consoles, you don't think of it as a typical console. You think of it as a console as you see in a cartoon. And that's what I love about Nintendo. All their consoles are different every time. You can just look at it and it's like, that's not an Xbox, that's not a PS4. In fact, it's a Nintendo console. Just because it looks different every single time. They don't follow a certain form factor. They follow what's going to make them different than the rest of their competitors. Now, you can say, in my opinion, that Xbox and PlayStation are their competitors, but not within the same mindset. Nintendo really focuses on a more family oriented, as well as kind of a more, first party oriented. So yes, Xbox has their exclusives and PlayStation has their exclusives, but Nintendo has a lot more exclusives. I can guarantee you're never going to find a Mario game on PlayStation, never going to find a Mario game on Xbox. So they're really first party game oriented. Now with this Nintendo Switch, they are adding a lot more third party games in there. So what are first party games? First party games are created by the company itself. So unlike Xbox and PlayStation, Nintendo owns the rights to Mario. They own the rights to Zelda. They own the rights to Metroid. Unlike, for example, Sega, before was kind of pretty much exclusive with Nintendo, even though they were the main competition before PlayStation and Xbox existed. But when you have, for example, the newest game that came out, Horizon Down, whatever, Zero, for PlayStation PS4, that's a PlayStation exclusive, but it's not a first party game. Another example is Bloodborne. It's a PlayStation exclusive, but not a first party game, because the company From Software did not create games exclusively and is not owned by Sony. They're not owned by Sony, but they exclusively released a game for their platform. So a first party game is created by the same company that owns the console. So Mario, Metroid, another game, Zelda. I can't believe I forgot about Zelda. But those are first party games. You'll never see that on any other platform ever, because it's owned by Nintendo. Mario's their flipping prime minister, for God's sake. So that's what I mean by first party games, and they're really first party game oriented. So what makes the Nintendo Switch such a must have? Well, obviously we had a pre-release beforehand, or a preview beforehand, of the game's capability. So not only, see, the Wii U was kind of like is essentially the predecessor to the Nintendo Switch. It was in the direction the Switch was going, except the Switch actually, landed there. The Wii U wanted to move the console from the TV to your hands more, but still allowing you to play on the TV. And I think the Nintendo Switch completely dominates that. It completely completes that philosophy of not only can I play it on my screen when I'm at home? But man, I don't want to, wait till I get home to save my progress. Maybe I'm on a long business. Maybe I'm on an airplane ride, and that's on average 2 to more hours. So what if I could take my Switch with me, playing the same games, and now I have these little little controller handhelds. I don't know how I feel about the little handheld controllers separating. I'm a classic man. I like one controller and then the screen in front of me. But it's the same kind of form factor you get with the 3DS. If I was to cut out the 3DS's sides at the bottom, the controllers, joystick on the left and the buttons on the right, I essentially have the same thing, except the Switch has another joystick on the right hand side. So it does it very well in that aspect where you're feeling like you have two separate controllers, but it's still, it's kind of Wii Mote-esque. You had the nunchuck and the Wii remote. So it kind of follows that similar form factor. But what's interesting is that, you have your station, like your docking station that you will plug your video out ports to. And when you just want to take it on the go, you can now take it with you. You can take the screen because there's a little screen that you play the games on. So with doing that though, Nintendo has gone away with their disc format that the Wii U had. The Wii U and the Wii and GameCube were the only consoles by Nintendo that had discs. Beforehand, it was all cartridges, and even with their handheld, it was all cartridges. So they went back to the cartridges. They were I would say, the only company for handhelds, main company. The only competition was the Sony PSP, and that used discs no matter which one you got. But this is those were the only three consoles: the GameCube, the Nintendo, and the Nintendo Wii U. Wii and Wii U. They're the only ones that use discs. So now they're back to cartridges, which can scale down your resolution. You're not going to get the full 1080p that you can attain with a disc. I don't think the technology is there yet. You can definitely get there because we have online games. So I definitely believe it has full 1080p capabilities. Because of I'm sure there's going to be apps on there like Netflix and Hulu and all that other crap. The Nintendo Wii had it, the Wii U had it. I'm sure the Switch is going to have it as well. But, when you purchase games online, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more 1080p-esque feel to it, at least an upscale. So I believe it'll probably fully upscale it to 1080p, but the native resolution, I believe, is not going to be 1080p because the screen you have is probably not going to be 1080p. So, because of the limitations of the cartridge. So it's kind of a scale back, but it's not going to be so noticeable where you're like, this looks ugly. That's for a fact. So now the part to where I believe that the Switch will eventually kill off the 3DS. So it completely achieved what the Wii U failed in being more portable in bringing the game to small hands. But the Wii U could not completely achieve the complete portability that the 3DS has. So now with the Nintendo Switch, you had ran into the problem. You had to wait till you got home to play your game. The Switch solved that problem, and now you can play your game anywhere on the go with the same game console. Not a different game console, not a different platform, none of that. Same game, same console. So you're not trying to relearn different controls or any of that, or having a dumbed down version of a launch style. For example, you had Super Mario Maker for the Wii U. That was awesome. That was an amazing game. It flipping blew up. And then they created the 3DS version, which in my opinion is a dumbed down version because you cannot share your creations on the web like you could with the Wii U. That was like the last thing that kept the Wii U alive was Nintendo Super Mario Maker. So now with the Switch out, I'm sure we're going to probably see an updated version maybe a year or two from now. But with that completed version, no need to create different versions of the same game, a dumbed down version. So for example, Sonic Generations. You play Sonic Generations on Xbox, PC, and PlayStation, it's all the same. But when you play it on the 3DS, it's a completely different type of atmosphere. So will no longer, I would assume we no longer would have that, because the Nintendo Switch is now not only your at-home console, but is now your handheld console, because it can do both. So why do I need a 3DS in a Nintendo Switch when a Nintendo Switch achieves the same thing that the 3DS has, except not being 3D? But let's be honest, the 3D is gimmicky. I never have it on. I don't understand why they really needed it. They probably just needed something catchy besides, and something innovative besides just calling it Nintendo DS. Nintendo DS Shiny, Nintendo DS 1080p. But the Switch achieves everything that Nintendo 3DS does. So why do we need a new product? The only reason I can think that the Switch will not completely kill it off is availability, and remember, Nintendo is very family oriented. Your 3DS was $200. Nintendo Switch is like $399, and then of course all these other sellers are going to probably upcharge it to like $400. But let's say base price is $399, you're now spending an extra $100. Now you run into another dilemma that the Switch has, but the 3DS solves. 3DS has a 2DS. 2DS is cheaper. Cheaper means family is going to have probably, let's say, a family of five, two parents and 3 kids. You get a Nintendo Switch, they all have to share the Switch, even when it's on the go. Jimmy wants to play his own games, Sarah wants to play her own games. What are you going to do? Buy multiple Switches? That's a lot of money. That's over $800 for 2 kids. For 3 kids, you're running about $1,200 for 3 Switches. However, you have 3 Nintendo 2DS. Those are probably at this point $100, if that. I'll have the pricing listed above to compare the 3DS versus the 2DS versus the Nintendo Switch, just so you guys can get an idea that the only reason that this Nintendo Switch will not kill off the 3DS is pricing. Now, what you could do is kill the 3DS but keep releasing 2DSs, or create a console, a handheld that will communicate with your Nintendo Switch. So, do you get rid of the same form factor, or do you create a dumbed down Nintendo Switch? Because you eliminated the need for creating a dumbed down 3DS game. You have Nintendo Switch that does everything the 3DS does and more, because it's a higher resolution and you don't have the 3D gimmicky. So the only barrier that I see the Nintendo Switch facing from killing off its 3DS cousin is pricing. Only reason why you should, or besides games, if the new Pokemon game comes out for the 3DS, which I doubt it, I think we'll get a new handheld console within 2 years or a year. The 3DS is pretty damn old. So Nintendo Switch achieves everything the 3DS does, but pricing is going to kill it. Is going to save it, actually. I'm sorry. The pricing of the Nintendo Switch is going to save the 3DS. But 2DS achieves the same thing as the 3DS, except it's just a little bulkier and it doesn't have 3D capabilities. And the resolution is slightly lower, but nothing that's going to really, affect your child. So, Nintendo, the ball's in your court. What are you going to do? Are you going to kill your best-selling handheld? Because you dominate the handheld market. There's no one that can compete with the handhelds now. Your only competition was the PSP, and it essentially died with the Vita. The Vita it's dead. No one has a Vita. If you have a Vita, message me, because you're going to be one in a million people that has a Vita. But those are my thoughts. Nintendo Switch has its foot on the 3DS's neck. The only thing that's saving it is the pricing. So will Nintendo come out with a handheld console that will communicate with the Switch, so you can have different Switch games but on a different little handheld? We'll have to wait and see. But 3DS is still here to say, Nintendo Switch is out. Go buy it. You're going to have to get it soon, because it's going to be sold out for quite a while. But don't worry, I read an article that more are coming. You can right now get 2 different kind. You can get the gray kind, the gray Joy kind. And you can also get the neon red and blue Joy kind. I highly recommend the new Zelda game, which we'll create a video on that once we get our hands on the Nintendo Switch, because, you know, I'm a poor college student, so I can't be buying new crap all the time. But thank you guys for watching. Those are my thoughts. Leave your thoughts down below in the comment section of what you think is going to kill the Nintendo 3DS. Is the Nintendo Switch going to be the one main console that's going to be driving Nintendo out of their rut of consoles? Or will we see an alternative handheld console that is still family oriented for those families that have 4 to 5 people in their family? 3 kids, 2 kids that want to play the same thing but don't want to play it, don't want to share with their brother or sister. But leave a like button if you thought this video was awesome, very informative, and also hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate you guys. It's 2017. We're going to reach our goal of 50 subs by the summer. By June, I want to hit 50 subs. So hit the subscribe button if you like content like this. And I was King Shaka, CEO of Jozu Esports, and I will see you guys in the next video. There'll be a link to the website on what the hell Jozu Esports is, and I'll be creating a video on Jozu Esports. Peace, love, and gaming.
We about to turn it on.